What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classic Line blog. You know I want to say God bless America when I'm standing beside the American flag. And I just want you guys to thank you so much for all your well wishes on, I'm telling my birthdays, passings of my family, this channel, buildings, new construction, old construction, rentals. Listen, the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for the 10 years on this channel. And I just want to thank you for all the things that you guys have contributed to my life and that I contribute to yours. And so listen, I hope this year can be even better, and I hope you grab the book, All Roads Lead to Real Estate. We're talking about digital real estate, online to the real dirt in your hand, and we'll have lots of good commentary inside that book to help you navigate how can you grow in this economy and also grow and play Monopoly in real life for you and your family. You guys, this doesn't have to be the worst time in our economy. It can be one of the best if you make a decision and move forward in your life. This is your girl Erica. Thank you. Oh, what's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Controversial topics tonight, very controversial, but we're gonna get through them. We're gonna knock it out. Unpopular opinion Friday. House and land more important than insurance. Generated curses are real. Now you're gonna be like, "Whoa, Erica, no, Black people need insurance. You know, the GoFundMe's and all this other stuff." And I hear you. I see you, I hear you, I understand for sure you need basic death policy all the time. But studies show within 9 months, whatever insurance you leave them kids, they spend through it. Whether you're a billionaire, it's $900, it's 10 grand. Just when you go, it shouldn't be a burden, essentially. But I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't got the land grab course, there's the link. We did a really powerful training showing where there's land that was 15 grand, which the person that probably originally bought it for 5. 15 grand, it went up to $80,000, and then they turned around, split it into 3, and put $680,000 houses on it in an area you wouldn't even think of. And so we put that inside the course. I hope y'all enjoy that. It's super powerful. And this is why when I talk about land so much, I talk about tax deeds and tax liens, the power of owning just raw land that you can go from $500 value to entitlements, improvements, and then it be worth 60, 80, 100,000. The problem is most people think they want that short-term wholesaling money. And a lot of our community drank the Kool-Aid years ago on, we got to wholesale, we got to flip this money, we got to keep flipping money. And they sold all the valuable vacant land in their community, not knowing the full spectrum. Again, this is why we keep talking about knowing the full business model. The full business model is to own real estate forever. The full business model is to own a oil pipeline forever, for generations. But people do occasionally sell, right? There's a lot of pushback in our community, like, what if you need to sell? What if you need the money? Your asset, because we're in an asset-based society, should be the last thing you sell. You should take a loan out on it, but it should be the last thing you sell. So listen, let's get into it. It's a lot to show today. But if you want to grab the courses, if you want to check out the Inner Circle Texas Concave, you want to check out the land grab book, boom, check it out there. Those links are provided. Let's get into it because it's going to be a little rough today. So I hope you're ready. And drop your city and state in the chat. Help your girl out. Let's get some numbers raised. I know it's Friday. I know your time is valuable, and so is mine. All right, so let's get in here. If I can get to it. Let me see here. So you see the topic, generational curses. I believe they're real. And I believe what happens is people are repeating patterns. Before I get in there, let me show the video. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back.
Gentleman, he said, "Hey man, is your dad Alonzo still?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I remember when he would come in this same room and he would have different females with him." And to me, that was a flex. I'm like, that's what's up. And then this older gentleman, he said, "Is your grandfather Lilburn still?" I said,
Wow.
"It is." He said, "I remember when he used to come in this same room and he used to have different women with him." Now, when the gentleman who knew my dad, that was cute. But when the second gentleman said it about my grandfather, I was like, wait a minute. My son, who's 33, he was 3 at the time. And I'm thinking this is going to go from Lilburn to Alonzo to Reggie and then Isaiah.
Right.
And so when I left that night with the young lady, normally I would go upstairs and, do what you do. And I dropped her off and kept moving. I drove home scared that night. And see, the Bible says in Romans chapter 7, verse 18, that there dwelleth no good thing in the flesh.
Right.
So in other words, we all have an evil nature.
Absolutely.
Through God's grace that we're trying to manage.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, you can be saved and not delivered. Deliverance is a process.
Absolutely.
And that's why one of the things that have helped me is Isaiah 58:6. It says that when you fast, you loose bands of wickedness and you undo heavy burdens. So my wife will tell you there's been many days where I've had to push my plate back to fight my own personal demons, because we all got them. My dad had 10 kids by 6 different women.
Yeah.
You know, Exodus 20 verse 5 talks about how the sins of your forefathers will visit you. Well, I'm telling you, them demons visited me. And I was out shooting craps one night at this illegal place. This young lady was with me. It wasn't her.
No.
One of the gentlemen, he said, "Hey, man, is your dad Alonzo still?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I remember when he would come in this same room and he would have different females with him." And to me, that was a flex. I'm like, that's what's up. And then this
I couldn't hear it again because it just bothers me. So somebody already said it. Learn stupidity can be overcome. So this is the thing, though. When people talk about, oh, I don't believe in curses, Erica. I don't believe in curses. That's crazy. Y'all using the Bible and I go, no, look at these people. Grandpa did it. Grandma did it. They doing it. That's a curse, right? I even hate to bring it up. Super Slash 75 did a great job on a video talking about they got the new Final Destination Bloodlines, right? So the premise of the movie is this woman's grandma basically in the 60s saved all these people. Well, all these people, I think they're going to tie all the movies together and say all these kids came from this one incident. And so Death came back and took all the people because they were never supposed to be there anyway. Like he was coming back to get them anyway because they weren't supposed to be there. And people be like, oh man, Eric, I don't know about that. And here's the thing. I actually know families where grandfather had a ton of kids, son had a ton of kids, then the grandson had a ton of kids. And I'm talking about 25 kids. This guy has 25 kids all over the place. Now his son's got 6 kids. Then now the grandchildren, the great grandchildren of this one man that's like a loose man. I know we love saying loose women, but I'm gonna say a loose man. They're all struggling with the same stuff. Now you're gonna say some of that's learned behavior, some of that's, I'm telling y'all, that's a curse. You can't tell me this man has 25 kids and these kids are spread out over North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and they all have the same lives. They're all getting arrested. They're all going to jail. They're all having the same issues. I really would love to spend money to like write a whole book, you know what I'm saying, to study this outline. I remember I think it was what's her name, that woman preacher, Joyce Meyer. She showed this one family where the grandpa and the grandma was alcoholics, going in and out of jail, not Christians, and every generation had like, it was almost like that documentary, The Terrible Case of the Whites, right? Where every generation's just awful. Nothing gets accomplished. No good comes from them. They just always go into jail, and they were a white family. She showed this other family across town, teachers, a preacher, and every generation kept doing better and better. And by the time it was at the end of it, you know, I think they tracked it for 5 generations or something like that. They had all these great grandchildren. They had all these doctors and nurses and qualified family members that were in the medical profession. But this other white family had nothing but a bunch of criminals and alcoholics, and there was barely any children left at the 5th generation, right? And when people say, well, Eric, I don't believe in curses, don't bring that in here. I want you to understand. Nature and nurture is a true thing, Cool Breeze, but I'm telling you, some of these people are following habits. So as you see on the screen, I put it there to try to, you know, in a nice way. Look at it back, put myself back like it was. Same neighborhood, same school, same teachers, same police, same judges, same church, lack of money, lack of jobs, lack of new ideals. That's a generational curse. No, Erica, don't say that. Don't say that. No. Don't say that, Erica. Don't say. Listen, your aunt and them went to that same school. Your uncle went to the same school. Your grandpa went to the same school. Listen, I was in school, nerdy kid. There was a fight about to break out. Something happened, and the principal, off of 8 years previous, dealing with my brother, who was a troublemaker, was like, "Oh, we're gonna put her out of school." And my mom and my dad come in there in their military clothes and their military, and they're like, "No, you're not." Yeah, I'm gonna send her over to the alternative school. And my mom's like, you will never send another one of my child towards an alternative school because I see what happens in the environment. This is a good kid. That's why I so relate to Carmelo Anthony on many levels. Not that I'm stabbing nobody, but coming out of a good neighborhood, good kid, and the neighborhood stereotypes, the bad black people stereotypes, the bad black girl stereotypes, which are just something someone's created, of course. affecting her child. And my parents said, no, we're going to take her over to the Christian private school and there's nothing you can do. Now, the first Christian private school, they said, oh, well, we can't take her. It's in the middle of the year. Excuses. They went right across town to another and they're like, oh, this girl plays tennis. This girl plays golf. We're going to teach her all of it. Yeah, here. I literally could have skipped several grades ahead going to that Christian private school. Various family members were like, no, don't let her skip another grade. Don't let her skip another grade. Yeah, Erica's real smart, but don't let her skip a grade. My parents fell back on that pressure. But that's a whole nother conversation on another day. But I want you to understand, if it wasn't for them pulling me out of the environment, put me in a whole new school, private school, focus on grades. When I went back to the public school system in that area, right? Military, moved around, came back in that same area. I went to a school and I was in a what we would call average class. It was 40 kids in there. The teacher saw me and said, not this one. This one needs to go over to the AP classes. I go to AP classes. There's 10 kids in there. We're getting to read. We're getting on computers when they used to just be in the computer lab. We're doing whatever we want all day. And at the time, I thought, wow, this is crazy. And I would look over out the room out of the AP class where it was 10 of us. And I would see the other class that had 40 kids. Nobody was learning. Nobody was engaged. It was too many kids in the class. So it's just simple placement and someone acknowledging, hey, this kid doesn't need to be here. This kid's sharp. This kid needs to be moved to another class, needs to be moved to another area, et cetera, right? So, and I'll get over to the second triangle in a second. But this is why I say when people are like, oh, I don't believe in generational curses, I do, because I can see it. The projects, yeah. It's the downward gravity force of average. Ryan Stewman had an Apex entourage, right? He was adopted, and his parents weren't that nice to him. All right, it was what it was. He was adopted, and then come to find out his parent before him was adopted, and they weren't nice to him. So then he's getting in trouble, and he says, "You know what? I got to break this." So he's studying hard. He starts dating a woman with a son. Guess what? He adopts her son. He said, "I got to make sure." Third generation in of adoption. This ain't even my legal name. I don't even know what my birth name should be. I got a name from parents who adopted me that didn't even like me. They got a name from parents that adopted them that didn't even like them. So we're 3 generations in. I have to make this name mean something positive. I have to make this name mean something good. I'm giving this boy, this woman I just married, my last name that ain't even supposed to be my name, right? And when I hear that, I just realize people have to realize they're in a wheel, right? There's a sci-fi channel called The Wheel of Time. It's not the same, right? But if you look at Game of Thrones and all that stuff, you see these stories unfolding, and the whole time the story is the story of the Starks. It wasn't the Targaryen story. It wasn't Westeros story. It wasn't all these other people's stories. It was the story of the Starks and how good people will get thrown all around. And what's the outcome? Now, of course, the show is a little bit Brandon broken. Get out of here. Okay. But that's another conversation for another day. So I do believe in generational curses and why you should not attach yourself to certain people. A lot of people are, be careful, I want to say this. There's a person I know, and what ended up happening is she met a guy. She's from a very well-to-do family. She was married and she got a divorce from her husband and she started dating this guy and he's like, hey, I have 2 kids. She's like, okay, no problem. He's like, no, I have full-time custody of my 2 kids because their mama's never involved at all. And so she's like, okay, yeah, I believe you. But she said, oh my God, I've been married to this guy 8 years. This woman doesn't even come around. So finally she comes around because the kids are getting older, right? She's starting, I miss my kids a little bit. She sees the kids and she's like, man, thank you for raising my kids. She meets the mother, she meets the grandmother, and she's like, it's like the same pattern repeating. She wasn't even raised by her mother. She was raised by her grandmother. And then this grandmother is still wild and reckless. And guess where they live? Las Vegas. And so she's like, I knew I would never, ever go back to California or Las Vegas because I can see the area, the force of average, the pull for the bad behavior, the pull for the whatever's going on in this family is keep going on here in Las Vegas and California, right? Now, I'm not trying to blame Las Vegas and California, but this is a video on California. I know y'all gonna be like, no, Erica, don't do it. I have to. Now, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be unpopular. I believe this family's cursed. I don't know this family from Adam, but when you hear this man display this story of this family who are immigrants from whatever country they're from, and I'm not gonna go there, You can figure it out from the video. But something's happening that they keep getting into these very violent incidents that don't make no sense. Right? I know, and sometimes belief can turn into real life. Again, if you hear the story of Bruce Lee, thought he was gonna die, dies early, thinks his children are gonna die, thinks there's something falling in their family, son dies early. There's a lot to be said about that, right? Bruce Lee's father dressed him as a girl because he was scared of the generational curse that was coming to get their family. I mean, it's levels to it, y'all. It's levels to it. But let me play this. Somebody's gonna be like, "This ain't biblical. What you saying?" I already know you're gonna do it. I'm just showing you this, and we're gonna get to the money part. We just got to go through this so you can kind of see like where I'm getting to.
Jim Yagubi was forced to experience something no human should ever have to. He watched as his brother Steve was murdered, run over by shoplifters making off with a $10 box of masks.
I was there the last minute of his life. Two other guys exit the car, and one of them punched my brother in the head.
The three men then got back in the car, ran over Steve first as they backed out, and again as they sped off.
The body under the car was turning all the way from front tire to the back tire.
This isn't the first time violence has touched this family. 4 years ago, we covered the brutal murder of another brother, 70-year-old David Yagubi, the victim of a random beating outside his Anaheim home by a deranged white supremacist. Their mother still hasn't gotten over it, and now this.
I'm afraid to tell her. I don't know what to tell her. Her eyes is puffed, almost closed, because she's crying for the first one.
I saw this on the internet. The question was posed, what company secrets can you reveal now that you don't work for the company?
Okay.
Still, I have his.
Okay. Now, why did I show you this family? Why am I bringing this up?
And since I don't work for the bank that fired me, I'll tell you the truth.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Now you're gonna say, "Whoa, why would y'all been owning these businesses for years, go chase outside a $10 box of whatever?" Now you're gonna say, "Erica, no, shoplifters shouldn't get away with things. They should be stopped. They should be grabbed." You live in California. You may be a big man. Guess what? Unless you have a multiple force multiplier, which I'm gonna say is a pew pew, is a pew on a pew on a pew 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 pew. 3 men against 1 doesn't make any sense. Now, if the man went to run outside to take a picture of the license plate, okay. I'm not chasing you for a $10 box of anything. Clearly, these people own the store. Clearly, these people own a store. Okay? The inventory, you bought the box for $2, if that. You're losing your life over a $2 box you bought wholesale. Now you can say, "Erica, this is their heart, they sweat, their blood and tears." They're 70 years old, still in their own store daily. This is what I want you to understand. It's not about owning a business. It's about, is there staff? Is there somebody in place? They're already, you could tell from the video, they put themselves in the stores, they put their children in the stores, they put their family in the stores. They're looking out for them, and their family. Nothing wrong with that. That's how this business in this country is going to be. In about 10 more years, y'all going to look up at every business is going to be just the families. Kids are in place. I've seen this all over the place. Okay. I've personally worked at pizza restaurants where the manager was an idiot and he was the owner of the son. And you're like, "Hey, the manager doing drugs in the bathroom. Hey, don't you talk about my son like that. Sir, your son's doing coke. You sure you want him to count it up?" Okay. All right. Let him count the money for the night. Okay, no problem. But that's how it's going to be. That's where we're going in this country for a lot of reasons. Okay. So then on top of that, now you said that's an incident by itself, Erica. That's just one incident. This family experienced 4 years ago a white supremacist beating their brother in the yard to death. No gun. It's California. No pew pew pew. Okay. So think about that. They have already experienced, I don't know, if they go back another 5 years in the story, if you ask the man, they probably experienced some other stuff. I'm going to say the multiple things happening to one family in one city at one time. Come on. Right? I want them to either wake up and be like, "We got to leave California." But they're not, because they're invested. They got stores. And I bet you money they got land and they got real estate and they got other properties. But because they're still wanting to be in the mix, I guess, They're gonna keep having these incidents. I'm gonna show another video because I know y'all like, man, Erica, you gotta. Why you showing us this stuff? Talk about money. Just talk about money. That's the point. If I have a store, I'm not sitting out here chasing you for $2. I'm not. There's other money. Let's go here.
Middle of the assault was that there's nothing you can do about it.
Here's Jeff Jatan last Sunday, seen chasing a juvenile who robbed him of a cell phone after another tried to set his wife's hair on fire. BPD arresting the group, charging one with robbery, but it didn't end there.
One was placed under monitor, GPS ankle monitoring, and the other two were let go because of their age.
Back on the streets and back at Jeff's door a week later.
We were obviously surprised.
Jeff says the juveniles then assaulted another couple by throwing rocks at them. That incident also captured on camera. A Fells Point resident who had a few run-ins with the same juvenile.
Now here's the problem. These teens know exactly what they're doing. Once one of them gets arrested or shot, the parents gonna make TV. Oh my baby. Oh my baby. Now this is why people have such a violent reaction to the Carmelo Anthony. This is a black boy from married parents and $1 million. They had $1 million business. They've got a $500,000 home. They live in the suburbs. They have 5 kids. The kid's got a 4.0 GPA. Carlo Anthony saved a kid from drowning at 14. He had a job. He played athlete. He got multiple college offers. And what's the thing? Why are people mad about people donating to this? Because we all know the story. Those 2 white boys that have divorced parents were trying to push this kid when it's raining. Go look at the video. They're starting to release some video because the people got their phones back and other stuff, and they took off some clips off their phone. But if you see it, it rained. So all the kids were under the tent, right? And you think you and your brother, who are 200-pound kids, are going to knock this kid over and push this kid out. It's already in the police report. They initiated the grabbing and stuff. That's theft. Pushing him, punching him, that's assault. See, but people's emotions are so connected to it because they want to believe the stereotype that black people bad, black people don't have any money. This guy right here has moved into the hood. It's gentrified, but it's the hood. So he's trying to run down the street with no shoes on to chase the kid for a cell phone. Baby, I ain't got time. I don't chase no kids down the street for no cell phone. And I bet you money if he get in his car and drive around that neighborhood, he'll find where those kids live at. And we gonna do what? Curse him out if he come over there. He on the news. In normal settings, you would go knock on the door. Hey, your kid's doing this to my kid. Your kid's coming to my house. Your kid just tried to set my wife's hair on fire. Right? But he's in a neighborhood where he know he go to their door and their family might beat him up. These are 2 different types of folk you dealing with here. You dig what I'm saying? Okay. Let me get out of there because that man gonna be on TV again. It's gonna be horrible. Here's Tommy Davidson. I don't know if y'all know the Tommy Davidson story. He was found in the trash can. His mom had him in the trash can in the alley. She was on drugs. A white lady adopted him, but the white lady was ride or die. So let's go ahead and do this.
Can be late all she wants and still get ahead, but you're black, and if you want to get ahead, you can't be late. You can't be late. And man, I wanted to cry. I was like, well, that ain't
fair.
Right? What's that? But she was showing me, you know, and before her life was over, she asked me, and she never would ask me for nothing. She said, I want you to do one favor for me. She never asked me to do stuff. She said, I want you to come over to this old folks home and say hi to these little guys. So she had done this without me knowing. She took an old folks home, talked the city into giving her the top floor, you know, all the services, the food, the beds and everything. And she housed 25 young black men who were victims of gunshot wounds and were crippled. And she was like, would you come and say hi to them? Me and my sister would be late to high school. You go late to high school, you know, enough times you got to go to detention.
Right.
You know, but my sister never had to go. You know, but I had to go every single time. So my mother said, I'm coming down there. She came down. She went to the principal's office. She said, why does my son have to go to detention and my daughter doesn't? They say, and my sister's name is Burl. your daughter's Burl? Yeah. She said, but why does that matter? Why does that matter? You know? And they got it all straight, but my mother took me home that day. She said, you coming with me. And she was driving, and she pulled the car over. And she told me this, boy. I'll never forget this. She took me to a little park and sat me down, boy. She looked at me. She said, I'm going to tell you the truth. She said, your sister can be late all she wants and still get ahead, but you're black. And if you want to get ahead, you can't be late. You can't be late.
Okay. Y'all know that story. That story is old as time. That story is old as time. There's a woman, I keep sharing her videos. Her daughter got all these negatives at this school. She got a review, and I mean, it's ripping her child up. Oh yeah, her child did this. And she said, wait a minute, that don't sound right. So she requesting to meet with the principal, meet with the teacher. Teacher just putting anything on the paper. Don't know why. I don't know. Right? And what I want you to understand is some of these people are doing things subconsciously. I'll be nice. Subconsciously, right? Very benign racism, right? And they don't realize it's just adding matches to your stack, right? It's just adding troubles to your stack. And if you get enough, all these black kids have lower grades, lower reading, lower this, lower that. And it's a criminalization. It's an over policing. So when people say, well, Eric, I thought you were talking about this is generational curses. I also want you to remember, if you're at the same schools, you're having the same principals, you're having the same judges, you're having the same area, you keep living in these same areas, you never move, you never even move around, you never make investments, right? I remember a preacher at a church called Lewis Chapel in Fayetteville said he was talking about how his people left Georgia, right? And his grandfather was a sharecropper, and he was always behind, right? He was always behind. He was drinking, partying. He was always behind, right? Then his dad was always behind. And the grandpa that owned the farmland said, listen, instead of you spending your whole life like your daddy, always behind, living in these little shitty shack houses as a sharecropper, leave here. Get up and leave here. So the man daddy really didn't want to leave. And his mama says, you're right. You're right. Go in the military. Go leave and see where they send you, right? You get on the train, you go in the military. He ends up hitting Fort Bragg, and he hits another city. What's the other city? I think it was Richmond, Virginia, or something like that. And his people never return back there. Eventually, the mama comes and joins him. His son, who, after he joined the military, went, became a famous preacher in North Carolina, owned trailer parks, owned land, owned all this stuff. Owned a bunch of stuff. But they would have never broke the cycle of owing this farmer money to be sharecroppers, when really, if y'all know the truth on sharecropping, you go one more generation back, y'all were slaves on that area. Y'all from the same area, same houses, same poverty, multiple generations. Thank God the white grandpa said, listen, instead of you owing me for generations like your daddy did, won't you leave here? Get up and move. Now, most people will be stumbling and saying, I'm from here. My people from here. I don't have to leave. That's true. When I hear about Milwaukee black people getting treated like it's Alabama 1950s, I'm not leaving Milwaukee. They can't make me leave. Cool. Okay, great. You there. You signed up for it. I don't want to hear it. They treating us bad in Milwaukee. I don't want to hear it. You don't want to leave. You don't want to do nothing new. So you're putting a generational curse on yourselves. That's fine. Stay there. Be treated terrible. That's your choice. You don't have to. Right? Because y'all say, well, what about the people? The people shouldn't treat them bad. I said, that's true. That's true. They shouldn't, but they are. So I don't know what you want me to say. Let me show you this. This is the mom I was telling y'all about. And we're going to keep it pushing. I know it's a lot of clips, but we're going to keep it moving.
Absolutely nothing wrong with my ability to understand a mathematical term such as the word average. I want to set for this room. We're sitting at a large conference table. My daughter is to my left. One of the administrators is to my right. Sitting directly across from me is the teacher in question, the court jester, doing what court jesters do, and the principal. During the meeting, while I'm talking, the principal and the teacher are huddled up over a computer, like looking at the teacher's laptop as if there could be some kind of information that was contributory to the situation on the screen. They never made mention of what it was they were looking at. They could have also been playing solitaire. It's very clear that this whole thing is a bunch of nothingness. The teacher chimes in and says, I just want you to know that since I did the 504 evaluation, I have noticed a night and day difference in your child. I mean, I've seen none of the behaviors now that I saw back then. I turned and looked at my child, who to this point had not been given an opportunity to speak. I had coached her prior to the meeting that, listen, you are here, but do not speak until spoken to. And when you do speak, don't get up here being long-winded. She's very long-winded. Yes or no? So I turned to my daughter and said, what do you think? My daughter said, I think I've been the same. So the court jester had to do what clowns do and launch into an interrogation of my daughter while I'm sitting right here. She likes to talk to children instead of talking to adults. So has Mrs. So-and-so ever had to talk to you about your cell phone? We talking about the cell phone still? I turned and looked at my daughter to give her permission to answer, and my daughter kind of hesitated, like she didn't know what to say. So the clown rephrased the question. She said, has the teacher ever talked to you, either collectively or individually, about your cell phone? My daughter acknowledged that the teacher has talked to them collectively about cell phone use. So she asked the question again. Has she ever talked to you individually about your cell phone use? My daughter looked at her and said, no. The court jester asked again, so she's never had to talk to you about your cell phone? I said, wait a minute, she's already answered the question. No, I'm talking to her. I said, but I'm talking to you. She's already answered the question. Well, I just think that if the teacher is sitting here saying that her behavior is different now than it was before, then that proves the point. I said it actually doesn't prove anything, except that she was probably awesome all along. It's just that she's being received differently now that I've called her out. After this fiery exchange, the principal finally decides to speak. She hadn't said much throughout the entire meeting other than being huddled up with the teacher in question, looking at something on the laptop computer, and she starts to think about what it is that I want. I state very clearly my initial goal, which is to get clarification and context behind the statements that my child was below average. I've let them know that there's absolutely nothing wrong with my ability to understand a math.
That's part 7. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Like, people been harassing her, like, give us the update. Give us the update. Now, the court jester is unfortunately a Black woman. And she was saying, the lady was real weird. And y'all know, all skin folk ain't kin folk. Y'all already know that, right? There's some weird ones. We got some weird ones. I say stuff sometimes. Y'all probably be like, well, Erica, I'll be like, technically, if I go down here and fly for this government grant, I'm putting Native American on there. I'm putting my tribal enrollment numbers on here. What you talking about, right? So anyways, with that being said, but when I walk out in the world, regardless of these curls, regardless of how long my hair is, right? People are going to look at me, right? Just the way I am. They're going to look at me the way I am. All right. So, it just is what it is. Okay. So with that being said, I understand why because she's like, why is my child being put below average when she has straight A's? She's never a problem. She's in sports. Again, these teachers just think they can slide them. Oh yeah, has an attitude, has a this. And the woman's like, this doesn't sound like my child. This sounds like you wrote a bunch of stuff for multiple people. And I'm the only parent to come in here and call it out. Okay? That does happen. All right, so let me show you 3 more, and then we're gonna get to the money. Yeah, because I have 3 videos to show. So let me get to these clips and get to the money. My pockets don't jiggle. It votes. Okay. Here we go. This is Tim Jackson. This is a point. I just want to bring it up. Fun fact. South Oak Cliff, Pleasant Grove, and South Dallas, these are zip codes, have the highest prison incarceration rate in the state of Texas. But I know, Fire Nika. Immediately, I put in the comments, sounds like they need a boot camp boarding school in South Dallas. Or some Army recruiters, since they want to be no-limit soldiers. Now, somebody's going to be like, well, Erica, hey, we need to investigate why South Dallas is like this. It's money. It's money. Like, hands down, right now, if you look at the real estate market, South Dallas is lower. It's more affordable. It's lower. They're not having appreciation gains. You look North Texas, Frisco, where that boy had that knife stabbing. You look anywhere north, Richardson, anything north of Dallas to the right, Salente, all that stuff. It's through the roof. You're talking about $200,000, $300,000 appreciation. DeSoto, Texas, still high appreciation. That's south, right? And so you have to actually Grand Prairie, big money, big dollar money. What's going on in South Dallas? It's the same neighborhood, same behavior, same issues, same young women having babies, same grandmas acting like it's okay, same school, same everything, same asking for the free haircuts in the summer and the free backpacks, and it's the same thing. It's a generational curse. Now, are they over policing in the neighborhoods? They possibly could. Yes, that's a big factor. That to me, that's why I feel like in Dallas, these people are throwing that money. Now, let's go. You know, I know y'all don't like me talking about daycare. Erica, I have to put my baby in daycare. If you're enjoying the commentary, drop a 1 in the comments just so we can keep it moving. Since y'all ain't hitting the like button, I guess y'all mad with me. It's okay. This is daycare stuff.
For child water, Carly took a page from a spy novel and in December sewed this small recording device into her daughter's fur jacket. For nearly 7 hours, it recorded 2 employees of the Early Childhood Learning Center cursing. One of them repeatedly berated the Hernandez's toddler and other small children inside the facility.
You're nasty. I'm about to go for wait for something over and I'll touch it and you die.
Aaron had anticipated nothing much being recorded by the device, but after the couple downloaded the audio files,
first thing that she said to me was, "We're not sending her back there," and she had tears in her eyes.
I just felt really deceived.
I hope you get exactly what you deserve in prison, and you know.
Just weeks after enrolling their daughter at Moss Rock KinderCare last fall, Aaron and Carly Hernandez noticed a drastic change in their 1.5-year-old's behavior.
She had started being really, really violent, hitting, kicking, screaming.
After witnessing an employee refusing to give her child water, Carly took a page from...
Y'all, I don't need to watch somebody refuse to give my child water. I don't need to... Stop with the 2-parent, we all have to work trap. It's a trap. It's a basic math equation. Go sit your ass down. Stop buying crap you don't need. Don't have a new car. Don't have a new minivan. Don't have new debt. But Erica, what about the cost of having a baby? My husband can't carry the cost. You can spread that debt out for 10, 20 years. Stop it. When you have a baby, someone needs to stay home. That's it. It doesn't matter how y'all try to flip this, but what about if the woman's a nurse? What about if the woman's a doctor? What about if the woman's an accountant? I don't care. I don't care. You cannot, if your child cannot verbally tell you what's happening, it doesn't matter. If your child's under 2, they do hundreds of studies on this. They keep showing y'all the earlier I put them babies in daycare, the babies become violent. They don't learn as well. They don't sleep well. They're agitated. And you think they're just overstimulated because they're with the kids all day. See, my son or daughter needs to go be with kids all day. They don't need to. This is a very much I want them out of my hair. Because every time we see on the news, somebody done unalive some toddler, something crazy, it's always the mom is absent. The mom had to work. Or you saw the dad that was 24 going to apply for job applications with dreadlocks down to his back, leaving his kids at the McDonald's. And he does it often. They went back in the cameras and found he does it often. A 10-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 1-year-old. He was 14 when he had the first baby. That means he was sexually active at 13. That should have been the lesson right there. There should be no more kids for another 10 years. But no, he has a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old and no job. Brother, your job is not to be running the streets. It's to sit your ass down and watch those kids. That's your job. If she's working, you don't have a job. It's not for you to leave the kids at McDonald's for 2 and 3 hours. Sit your ass down. That's your job, brother. Figure out how you can work from home. I remember somebody called Kevin Samuels and he had a $22 an hour customer service job. He was renting a room and he had 2 kids. renting a room now from somebody else in my same house. And Kevin Samuels like, nah, you need to go give that woman back the kids and go to work. That's where they're at. They're so poor. He's doing a customer service job with 2 babies in the background in a room he's renting. And the woman's over with her parents and she's working. And the parents are working. Do y'all understand how when people talk about generational curses, yes, it's economic, but it's bad choices. It's bad choices. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the dude called Kevin Samuels talking about he want a girlfriend and family. He said, sir, you got a family. You better go back and get that woman that's working with these 2 kids. That's your family. But see, nobody wants to say that. They don't want to hear that. Erica, you're being a fuddy duddy. The other day I said this, and my significant other was like, well, people got to pay their light bills and electricity bills. Man, light bills be $100. Some of these people live in tiny apartments. These light bills ain't that high. That she got to go back to work. It's not. It's not. It's just not. Now, again, I'm going to show you one more. Show you one more generational curse here. I got to prepare myself. Y'all not going to like me when I show you this one. Y'all going to be like, no, Erica, don't show this. This is a 47-year-old man. Okay. And when people tell me they looking for younger people, I'm always like, to jail.
Put it in the dumpster. The Iraqi man saw it on the camera and he was trying to go out there and get that trash can so he could report to the police that somebody.
Let's refresh it so y'all can catch it from the beginning.
Give birth, and her 47-year-old baby daddy picked her before the ambulance got there. She had that baby in the car. He took the baby and threw the baby in the dumpster.
Discovered inside a dumpster earlier this week. Investigators identified James Booth as the man seen on video putting the newborn in the trash.
Y'all know how them Iraqi people, when they had them gas stations, you try to take your trash from your household trash and put it in the dumpster. The Iraqi man saw it on the camera and he was trying to go out there and get that trash can so he could report to the police that somebody was out here dumping trash illegally.
I go jump in the garbage inside, then took the bag out, then hand over to the apartment department. They look at it, there's their body inside.
Now, Mr. Good Old James, he's a maintenance man over here at these little apartments. And word on the street, when they finally got up with the little girl, the little girl told the police officers she been talking to this man. He's been her boyfriend since she was the age of 13. This man has other kids by other women that are adults. And I'm guessing he was trying to hide the situation, so he took that baby and threw it in the garbage. Right now, he was locked up on some weird-ass charges, but I damn sure didn't see the charges of him molesting that little girl. We waiting on it. I'm going to keep y'all updated. Stay tuned.
Being held $250,000 bond. That bond, by the way, is set for review tomorrow.
Ooh, child, y'all heard?
Okay, first of all, this woman got a lot of damn kids in the background making noise. I need her to have a closet or somewhere she go sit down, because that's a lot of kids. Yes, she said Iraqi man, but then, oh, Lord Jesus. He's 47 years old with other children. So this man has children. He's 47. He works at an apartment complex. He's been talking to this child since this child was 13 years old. Where's her mother? Where's her father? Where's her grandma? Where's a school official? Why has this child, who is now 16, it's been 3 years, is pregnant? No one has been taking this child to a doctor. No one has been getting this child any care. Is this a foster child? Is this that's where my questions start going, like, what's going on? Is this child slow? What's happening? He's 47, y'all. This ain't no 25-year-old man. This ain't no 35-year-old man. This is a 47-year-old man. What does a 40, if you go back 3 years, 44-year-old man have to talk to a 13-year-old about? Nothing. This is why when y'all sit here and try to, well, the legal age is 16 and no, what I hear out your mouth when you say that repulsive stuff is if the legal age was 13, y'all would be sitting in front of middle schools. If the legal age was 13, y'all would be sitting in front of middle schools trying to catch children because you're sick. And our society no longer starts chopping people's hands off. No longer, because again, when they interview predators for boys and girls, when they interview these people in jail, they go, oh, I just look for a non-active father. If I see the father is going to be a pushback or a problem, I get away from that family. They never say anything about the mom. They never say anything because they don't care about the mom. They're going to figure out how to get to that child. Their only fear is another man. that may punch them in their face because they know they're wrong. This is why the commentary, when somebody says, if I have an 18-year-old daughter and she comes back to my house with a 30 to 31-year-old man, we're fighting in the front yard because he knows better. There's no place in society where an 18-year-old is hanging out with 30-year-olds. No, Erica, there is. No, there isn't. It may be the community college, y'all in the class together. It may be she works at Texas Roadhouse and you a felony cook in the back. But the only other way y'all hang out is if you put yourself in place where children are. If you at the Tuesday night teen night at the skating rink. If you're actively putting yourself there, that's why I have no patience or respect for the Tate brother mythology of like you're looking for the young virginal person. You're a predator. You're a hunter. How do we know? Look at what's happening in Europe. These men come from third world countries. They have no tact. They're hunting these people. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Somebody be 30, 40, 50 years old, but it's legal. If 13 was legal, you'd be the kind of person standing in front of a school. Whenever I hear this argument, 18 is legal, this is the type of person you need to check their nieces, you need to check their aunts, you need to check their family, they need to hand over their driver's license. You need to hand over your driver's license. We need to see your actual face. We need to see your driver's license. We need to write down your address because that is where it starts. When somebody goes, this is okay. I promise you, this man, whoever this is, I know you're going to be like, damn, Rick, I'm leaving your channel. That's okay. I really want the line in the sand to be there. If you are saying, well, 18's illegal though, you are the type of person who will stand in front of a middle school if they said tomorrow 13 was legal. We need your driver's license, sir. We need your, there you go. Again, we need your driver's license, sir. We need your address. We need your city and state. I have to make a call. Exactly. When people say that, the first thing I think when somebody say 18 is legal, then 17 is fine, then 16, then 15, then 14, then 12, then 11. That's what it is. They have put in their mind, again, there's no normal daily interaction where a 30 to 47-year-old man is around children. There isn't. Unless he's working at a school. This man is a janitor at an apartment complex. He had to be walking down this child leaving the bus coming to school. He had to be walking her down. Oh, be real. Okay, you going too far. You're block ministry. You're out of here. You're out of here. You're banned. And anytime I'm real serious about the children. You can't. Somebody just turned 18. Yeah, I had to block you. That's too many. Unfortunately, on YouTube, we have the black pedos who have been released on the internet and make you think all the black community has is a bunch of neckbeard pedos hanging out here on the internet. You got to go. You're banned. Have a great day. Block ministry. And people are like, "Nah, you're being too harsh on men." No. We have to separate ourselves. We have to put a line in the sand that we don't accept borderline pedo activity. We don't. They don't accept it in jail. Them people be fine too. They do a year, 2 years, come right back out. Dangerous. Okay, let me calm down. Let me get to the money. Let me get to the money. Let me show you this, and then the next two videos are on money. Let me calm down, because that's what we have out here. Nobody wants to say it. All right. Reason the black manosphere was running off like that is because you had a lot of pedos all of a sudden show up. You had Sinful to P had a 13-year-old girl pregnant. And when that came out, nobody was like, "Oh man, that's terrible." They tried to act like, well, he got arrested. They took the child away. Child Protective Services took the child away and get the child out of the whole environment. Not only took the pregnant girl away, took the child away from the pregnant girl. But anyway, let me keep moving. That's a generational curse. Oh yeah, he had to be chasing her before she was 13. She could have been 12, getting on the bus, and he was just figuring out how to talk to her. That's why I'm telling y'all. Here we go. But also, this is where we go with this. Whenever I say something about a man, y'all be thinking I'm being hating men. I'm not hating men. I'm just saying 9 out of 10 times a man. Women prey on young boys also. It's the culture and our reality. It's why our heart, we hear about teachers all the time, no racism, ethnicity, excuse it. Again, whenever we bring up a story about a man, people are like, but we do it too. Not at the rates of men, universally, across the world. They're marrying 9-year-olds in Afghanistan. They're having child brides in Europe. They just fought for Detroit, which is really the state of Michigan, to not have child brides. They said, hey, we can't approve people under 16 getting married. Why are they doing that? Because you have a huge Muslim population moving to Detroit, moving to Dearborn. I mean, they took over that whole city. They already called them doing female mutilization, right? They already catching them bringing young children they're not related to back to the country. Y'all don't know who y'all dealing with out here. You have to put a line in the sand, because if you keep moving the line, well, 18's legal though. Sir, you're 35. What are you doing? I can show you countless videos of 35-something-year-old men murdering the young 20-something they picked up at 18. Let me get focused. Let me get back to the money, because y'all don't come here for that. You just want to talk about money. There you go. Moving cities, hiding. They bring their barbaric. Okay, let me calm down. Let me get here. Part of why I was talking about Carmelo Anthony is, it's no fun when the rabbits have the gun. Okay, it's just no fun, right? So it's just a quick video snippet I want to show you here out of this, not the whole thing. Let me calm down. There's another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardships of the Negro race before the public, having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles. They have grown into a settled habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. This is Booker T. Washington, who died in 1915. You guys got to understand, this man was born 1865, died in 1915. This could be written as if it was tomorrow. One more time. There is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles, the wrongs, and the hardship of the Negro race before the public. Does that come to mind? Jason Whitlock? Any of these people that's paid by the Blaze? Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Let me play this clip.
Sentences. Most of the time, it's not even because that they're guilty. It's because they have the lack of funding to have an actual competent defense. And if you look at systemic racism, that's exactly what it's tried to do. It's tried to eliminate the capital. It's tried to eliminate the resources for Black people to attain. Because upon those resources being leveled, well, the whole concept of racism goes away. Because guess what? I don't have to do business with you if there is a white person who's willing to do business with me. If there's an Asian person who's willing to do business with me. If there's a Black person who's willing to do business with me, and they have the capital and the resources to, finance my, business endeavor. That's what they fear.
I go around the world and I ask Blacks in various countries. I said, two people stand up any place in the room. I'll give you $1,000 if you can tell me what racism is. I've never ever had one that knew what racism was. Never had one. I said, what is racism? He said, well, it's bigotry. It's hatred. It's not getting along with people. It's bias. It's discrimination. All that wrong. Racism has nothing to do with getting along with people and liking people. Racism is a competitive relationship between groups of people who are competing for the ownership and control of resources, wealth, and power.
And they sure as heck don't.
Boom. That's it. That's it. That's it. Like, I just don't think y'all understand. Why are people so mad about this boy raising $300,000? Because they know the difference between a $30,000 lawyer, public defender, and a $300,000 big money Texas lawyer is that $300,000 big money Texas lawyer is going to come in that courtroom, and Carmelo Anthony's going to serve maybe 2 years as a juvenile, because manslaughter in Texas is 2 to 10 years. You got whole white boys in Texas drunk driving, killed 4, 5, 6 people. Didn't do no jail time. Straight up probation for 10 years. So you telling me this one time this boy's at this school, they might try to play with the knife charges, but other than that, this boy's going to get 2 years. He's going to pay a $10,000 fine to the courts, and he's going to go on with his life. That's what should happen when you come from a well-to-do family in a wealthy city, in a wealthy suburb. Because people are like, you got to make an excuse, not him. He's going to go to jail for 30 years. He's going to go to jail for life. He's going to get the death penalty. Like, these white people are losing their mind. And when you just do you talk to any cop, they like, well, it's on record. The twin brothers came. And this is not me making this up. You can go find, there's hundreds of news channels talking about this right now. And even the father tried to say, well, I wasn't standing right there. I don't particularly know. No, the twin boys, anytime you grab somebody's property, which is the backpack, that's theft. You push, punch, or assault somebody, that's initiating. That's assault. What is Texas? A stand your ground state. And it's a one-time stab and walk away and run away for your life. Run away for safety. That is the classic textbook run, hit, punch, run. And I've been to several defensive gun classes where they're like, listen, somebody knock you down, somebody punch you, somebody trying to assault you, sexually assault you. If you have the opportunity to run away and you come back, baby, that's when they get you. That's when they got you because you was free. Because you was free. Okay? So what people are mad about, what white people are mad about is the ideal that all these black people are poor and assaulting people. You go and say, no, this kid comes from a family that made $1 million 3 years in a row. They got a $500,000 house. The father and mother have been married 17 years. They got 5 kids. They got photos together. This kid had a job. This kid was an athlete. This kid had 4.0 GPA. He had multiple offers to college. And then it breaks apart because the stereotype they're thinking of is the Baltimore kids that are generationally been somebody not even caring where they at right now, right? But it's not. So in all things equal in the world, if I have enough money for the best legal defense in Dallas, even if the guy wants to be unpopular, my kid's not going to jail. If he is, he's doing 2 years juvenile and he'll be out and be home. He'll be 17 going on 18. And if lucky, 17, he'll be under house arrest during the whole court procedure. We'll drag it out for 2 years and it'll be time served, which will piss people off even more. And this is not me just making it. This is me like actively calling all the black lawyers I know in Dallas. That's why a lot of the black lawyers in Dallas aren't even sweating this. Because they're like, really? If you think about it, grabbing his stuff, punching him one time, knife just one time. This ain't like I shanked him, I got him. A one-time knife, run away for my safety. It is a classic textbook manslaughter. The only difference is the weapon on school grounds. That's it. That's it. So that's why I've been so passionate about it. That's why I donated money to the Give Sin. They took some of the GoFundMe's down. It don't matter because the other one was still up. Okay? Because what they're trying to teach you as a black man, your kids should just run away in fear. They should just be running all their life. Oh, Lord, don't defend yourself. Just keep running. Because no, I be telling y'all, I'm not playing with y'all. One of y'all put your hands on me, I'm pew, pew, pew. And I remember these white people were asking me, Erica, why you got a gun? It's so safe here. I'm like, it ain't for the black people. And they looked at me like, I said, who be bothering me when I was at a truck stop at Love's on 35 going to Dallas. I'm at the gas station. I park in the handicap. I am in the wrong. I park in the handicap. I run real quick because I had to use the bathroom. And this man's like, you don't look handicapped to me. This white man go out all his way to say something to me and he's talking to me. And I'm trying to go around. I said, sir, you need to leave me alone. All I said is you don't look handicapped. I said, sir, you need to leave me alone. I immediately put my hand on my hip and turn my body like this. And I mean, the 3 Mexicans that was beside me was like, back it up, because they know. I was like, you're stopping me going into the door. You said something coming away from the gas pump. You done said something to begin as you open the door. You're turning your body to me, baby. I'm unload on you. I'm gonna be like, I'm in fear for my life. I had to use the bathroom, and this man was blocking the door for me to get in. I was in danger. And I remember telling some people, they're like, oh, that's a little bit much. I said, no, it's not. I'm a woman. I was in danger. And my Asian friend was like, I see what you're saying. He already knew. He's like, These white guys in our group of food we eating at, they're thinking you're being over dramatic. If their wife or their girlfriend was beside them and that white man was talking to them like he talked to me, they'd have scored up on him. They'd have been knocking his fucking head off. I've been at ATMs, I've been at restaurants, and you will have a grown white man be up on your back. You like, sir, are you paying for my meal? Where are you going? You would never stand this close to another man. You would never stand this close to another man in line, at an ATM, anywhere. You'll get your ass on. I just want y'all to understand. I don't. I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not using my black people scary voice. I'm not doing none of that. I'm gonna shoot you, then I'm gonna fall on the ground and I'm gonna cry and be like, oh my God. I'm gonna be out there getting all the tears in good. I might hit myself a couple times to make sure it's real good. I'm gonna make sure it's real good. Exactly. The other family keep talking to the news. The mom is saying something to dad. The mom got to go for me. The dad got to go for me. They are making themselves out to be white trash. The more they keep saying something. Okay? All right. I'm not playing with these people. I'm not playing with these people. Y'all probably be like, dang, Merca violent. Mm-hmm. I sure am. Whatever you need to tell yourself, but guess what? We going home. When the police tell you, I'm making it home tonight, baby, so am I. So am I. I'm making it real home. I'm about to fall on the ground and be, oh my God. I'm gonna be all on the ground, tears, everything. I'm gonna be out there crying. They be like, sir, ma'am, he's dead. Why are you crying? I was so scared. I thought I was gonna die. Spending more of your time making money. He who works all day has no time to make money. All right, John D. Rockefeller. Let me show you this clip, and then there's like 3 parts of this I want to show you.
Think about your workday. How much time is wasted? How much time of that day is spent actually making money? Generally, for a non-sales employee, the answer is that less than 10% of your time is spent actually making money. There's no getting around it. That's incredibly inefficient. Your goal is to make money, and you're wasting 90% of your time. How much faster do you think you could reach your goals if you spend 100% of your time trying to make money instead of 10% of your time? Maybe it wouldn't take 1/10 the time to reach your goals, but it would certainly be faster. Let's use an accountant as an example. Accountants spend almost 0 of their time making money. Think about a day in the life of an accountant for a real estate private equity firm, for example. They pay invoices, they receive payments, and they record payments. Essentially, their job is organizing, formatting, and reporting. This directly generates minimal revenue. In fact, they're not even making any money at all. They're a cost center. Yes, I'm aware that accounting is a necessary and vital function of a real estate private equity shop, but the point stands that they're not directly making the firm any money. This is a problem. What about accountants who run their own shop? The average salary for an accountant in New York City is around 60 grand a year, right? $5K a month. An accountant who runs his own shop can easily replace that income with only 1 client. This is because he replaces some of that time spent doing tasks that don't matter with time spent selling his business to clients. This change is small, but significant. While an accountant does not directly make money, an accountant selling his services does directly make money. If, using the example above, the accountant had previously been spending 10% of his time making money, he can now ratchet that up to 25% or even 50%, basically time spent selling his services. This is a massive difference that really shouldn't be understated. Based on the fees I've seen accountants rake in, I would guess accountants running their own shop, even a real kind of one-man consulting shop, making 25K a month with ease. So roughly 5 times the amount. Component 2, willingness to switch industries, really adaptability. Let's take a look at a few of my favorite business role models of all time. Aristotle Onassis, Cornelius Vanderbilt, and various Italian mobsters. Obviously, Italian mobsters not in terms of ethics, but in terms of ruthless efficiency.
Okay, first of all, don't anybody take offense to the accountant thing. You don't make money. You're just organizing, formulating, and curating documentation. Why? Because nobody wants to look at the numbers. They don't. So it is a cost. Any business, when somebody asks me, what are the 4 people I would hire if I had to do it all over again? I would have a part-time accountant. I'd have a social media manager. And I'd have an operations manager. And I have a customer service person. I tell y'all that all the time, every time. All the time, every time. The accountant is so when the government comes calling, you can't play, I didn't know, because the ignorance of the law is not negation of the law, right? You can't say, well, I didn't know, and so that negated the law. It doesn't work that way. So accountants, just like compliance, are things we need. And when we're short of them, it's a problem. That's why so many people couldn't get EIDL loans. They couldn't get USDA loans. They couldn't get SBA loans because they don't have no accountant. Their paperwork is in shambles. Their documents are in shambles. That's why they can't go to the bank and get any money. We're in a credit asset-based society. And I'm going to play the other clip here in a second. But I just want you to understand, we're in an asset-based society. But if you can't show me your documentation, guess what? You can't get nothing. That's the point. So let me finish.
What do they all have in common? They spent all of their time making money. No time was spent on nonsense. With a work schedule like theirs, Aristotle Onassis in particular was famous for almost never sleeping. It's almost impossible to not make money. So we've already established that you should be spending way more of your time making money than you currently are. That's the non-negotiable first step. What else can we learn from these businessmen? They weren't afraid to change industries if need be. They were in the business of making money, not the business of having a structured career. Aristotle Onassis started off as a tobacco trader. He soon realized that the real money was in shipping and transitioned to industry as becoming a shipping magnate and one of the richest men in the world. Cornelius Vanderbilt started off as a sailboat operator, then switched to steamboats when he realized steam was the future. Eventually, he transitioned out of steamboats into railroads when he realized the profit potential and monopolistic power they held. Mobsters do it a bit differently. Instead of transitioning in and out of industries, mobsters have this concept of rackets. Rackets are essentially different businesses and hustles that the mobster operates, usually at the same time. And no mobster only had one racket. Some of these mobsters were operating 5, 10, even 20 businesses at once. They were actually kind of the original private equity firms. Contrast this to your average employee who works in only 5% of one business. Not hard to see how mobsters make so much money. Yes, obviously a lot of what they're doing was illegal, but most people could not make $5,000 a month illegally before getting called into the cops and getting arrested. The point is that mobsters are willing to adapt to make money. They're not married to the concept of making money strictly as an accountant or strictly as a lawyer. To them, money is money, and they trust their ability to make it regardless.
Okay, pause before I finish this. I want you to understand, this is why people get so mad at what we call Jamaicans. Man, you're working like a Hebrew slave. You're working like a Jamaican. I don't know if y'all have ever heard that saying. A lot of people get into these like petty conversations about, oh, you're working too hard. You're doing too much. Because the average person thinks they're supposed to show up to their job, type emails back and forth, do a bunch of nothing, talk with the coworkers, go get some coffee, use the bathroom on clock time, BS, send memes to each other, do a bunch of goofy stuff. Right? That's what they think their time is meant to do. Right? And they never get to making money. So when they get fired, they go to the next interview. What did you do at your last job? And they have not much to say because they weren't doing nothing. Now, everybody can't be sales. Everybody can't be an accountant. Everybody can't be admin. Okay? That's clear. That's correct. But you can take your money, right? You can take your money and invest it in different avenues. That's why I showed that other guy's page, which I'll show it again in here in a second. I can hear people all the time, man, you got a lot of stuff, you spread out all over. I'm really not. I'm past the boss hog stage now. I have 2 different land flipping people I'm working with, and it's like, hey, here, I'll stroke a check for the 2 to 3K each of y'all, so that y'all can make the phone calls and y'all do 80% of the work. I'm willing to be the bag person. But you have to relinquish I got to do it myself. I got to be on the phone. I got to do all this stuff. No, you literally can just, boom, here, put the money here. Put the money here. You make it run and go do what it do. And just bring me back the reports. But a lot of people have never stepped back and look at how businesses make money. That's why they have so many bottlenecks in their business, because they want to put themselves in the middle of it. Now, I'm lucky. I've made a lot of digital content. I have a lot of intellectual property. These are all things I can just run ads to and sit back. I break my leg, I break my hands, I break whatever, I can go sit back and do that. But you have to have capital to do it. And we're a credit and asset-based society. I can't tell y'all how many of y'all have gotten from me and y'all have wonderful ideals, but you have no credit to get it done. And that's what you need, right? Diamond Dave said something earlier, and I caught a glimpse of it because I was in the car, I was going to the post office. And he's right. We're the only community that's like, just take $500 out your pocket and just keep running around and just keep calling everybody. It's going to come together, my brother. It's going to be all right. No, you need cash money. You need credit. You need a line of credit. You need to be able to apply for an SBA loan. This is why I get so offended when I'm in these credit groups and they're like, look, I have a 750 credit score. I've hit a credit score. And I say, what are you going to do with it? And then they get pissed. They get angry. They're angry because they think you should pat them on the back because they have a freaking credit score they do nothing with. They don't even apply for cars. They don't even buy a house. Look at me, pat me on the back because I have a 700 credit score. It means nothing if you have assets. We are an asset-based society. We are in a credit-based society. You don't even know what to do with it. You're showing me a trinket, but it doesn't mean anything. It's like you drive up here, when you go to some of these neighborhoods in parts of Texas, they got a boat in the yard. They got fancy cars in the yard. They got all this stuff, right? And you're like, cool. But we live an hour away from water, right? Now, not here in Austin. We live near water, but there's some areas where I go and I'm like, why y'all got boats out here? You're gonna spend so much gas taking the boat to where the water is because that person can't afford to dock the boat. One, they can't afford that cost. They just got the boat. Number two, they just want to show you they got the boat to stun on you. Number three, they want to show you the trinkets and toys so that you're jealous, but you can't be jealous of somebody who doesn't have a working asset. Can't be. It doesn't work like that. Okay, let me finish this. but even people's comments under this video are like, could you do a reference without mobsters? Again, it's that same goofy ass stuff where it's like, could you use an example that's not crime? Can you say ideal, Erica, like IKEA instead of ideal? Kiss my ass. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You're never going to change your position because you're stuck on something that doesn't matter. And so please stay where you are and please stop commenting on my channel. Go away.
Of the line of work. They're confident that their abilities transcend petty career labels. A great example of this is Paul Vario. This is Paulie from Goodfellas. Vario was involved in hijackings, loan sharking, bookmaking, and a ton of actually legitimate businesses as well, including a flower shop, bars, restaurants, taxi stands. So at a minimum, he was involved in 7 different rackets. I think in reality, it was way more than that. How much was he making from these rackets? Apparently at his peak, $25K a day. And this was obviously back in the late 1900s. $9 million a year. Was he a restaurateur by trade? No. Did he make money in the restaurant business? Yep. Say what you will about mobsters, but you have to admire their brazen confidence to make money in any business they set their mind to. Another example is Michael Francis, a member of the Colombo family. At the height of his career in the 1980s, he was earning $8 million a week with a gasoline scam. Did he say, hey, sorry, I'm an accountant. I don't know anything about oil? Absolutely not. He went out there and figured out how to operate the business, even though I'm sure he knew just as little about the gasoline business as you and I do when he first started. Most people these days, though, would pass on an opportunity like that, assuming it were legal, since it's not in their chosen career path and not what they were trained to do. It's not what they feel comfortable doing. That's because most people aren't in the business of making money. They're in the business of having careers. Mobsters, however, are in the business of making money. Component 3, getting rid of the artificial boundaries. Basically,
okay, long story short, he goes into like, you know, we're in a permission society. Like, I need a permission from a teacher. I need a piece of paper to say I'm ready to do this. I need something. It is one of those things, right? They need somebody to tell them it's okay to do their ideal. And that is what the part of the video it goes into. But I want you to understand that, like, Las Vegas, like, the biggest homeowner is New York firms and basically the mafia. I'm just gonna go there. It's the mob. It's the mob, right? And you're gonna say, no, it's not the mob. That doesn't exist. The mob, you know, everybody in sold out of Las Vegas. The mob is gone since the 50s. No, they're not. They just repackaged it. When they started putting people in jail in the 70s and 80s, they said, all right, what we gotta do for this? Hey, let's start having what? S corporations, and let's have these hedge funds. In the movies, and we can go back to one of the movies, the guy was Jewish and an accountant working with the Italian. These people will work together to keep the money rolling. Don't get it twisted. Don't ever get it twisted. This is why in the class, in the land grab course, when I put in there about, look at this one piece of land, it went from $15,000 to $80,000. Then they split it and put $680,000 houses on it. This is money created out of thin air. This is value created out of thin air. But what happens is we go, well, I only know this little street. I only know this little city. And we don't take the blinders off our eyes and go, there's land everywhere in America. That's why these people are picking up, moving down the street, right? You never want to be the first person down the street, but you want to be the second or third. And they'll make a little cul-de-sac. It'll just be 2 streets, 2-3 streets. And they'll put $600,000 houses on it. And now they've set the comps for the area. But when you think everything should be done with a credit card, I mean, I'm just going to go there. Yes. Can you get the first house done with a credit card? Heck yeah. That's not really all you need, right? You really only need $50K, but that's another conversation. You get the first house done with a credit card, but the second and third and fourth houses is done with the bank. The bank has proof of track record, proof of you doing it. If you own the land, they're going to give you the loan anyway. That's why I don't think y'all understand. Like, some of these people, they just build 2 or 3 houses a year and keep it rolling. They'll always make money. They don't want to be a DR Horton. They don't want to be these big companies. And on the flip side, the people that just be finding land all the time, there's plenty of stuff. They are going to be compensated. I know what video you're talking about, the 600 acres in Georgia. They were going to offer them like $20,000 per land lot or whatever, and that would have been $12 million. But again, I've already addressed that in the previous video where I said this is why you see a lot of rural owners put the 10 warehouses on their property, because now their property has even more protection from just being land that they've owned for 120 years. It is now land that has higher value, 10x value. So it's one of those things. We'll go into that another day later in this month. Well, really, yeah, this month. We'll go into it this month. Let me show you this video, and I want you to understand. This is Ted Oxbow Advisors. They're out of Austin, Texas. If you're in the Wealth Wednesdays originally, I actually put a video showing you, we went over the whole prospectus of the company. All they're going to get you is 7% returns. So it's like, I like their knowledge, but at 7%, I can get, I can show you, not that I give financial advice. I can show you 10 ways to get 15 to 20% returns. And we do it all the time. We show people all the time, right? It's not, you have to live me. You can literally be on dividend REITs. You can be all over the place. There's several places, land, timber, all kind of stuff. But to just have somebody tell you they're going to give you 7% is crazy. Now, also something I meant to bring up before I go into this video is Farrah Fawcett. Do y'all remember Farrah Fawcett with the beautiful Farrah Fawcett hair, famous hair, Charlie's Angels? She died the same day as Michael Jackson. Now, I ended up going in a rabbit hole watching a documentary. And the important part is that man was knocking her upside her head, O'Neal. That was Tatum O'Neal's daddy. Ryan O'Neal was knocking her upside her head all the time. And they had a kid. Now, he was on drugs, and she was acting like she wasn't on drugs, but she was on some drugs too. And their son is basically a violent criminal that probably has a chemical imbalance, honestly. Now, when she died, she didn't have a house. She didn't have a bunch of stuff. But what she had is a bunch of art. And she donated the art to the University of Texas. University of Texas comes when she dies and picks up all the art, right? They pick it up. Now, why did they have to come pick it up from California? It was in the house of Mr. Ryan O'Neal, and he was threatening not to give it. So he said, oh, okay, y'all come get it, because it was worth millions of dollars. Then he hid one. It was Andy Warhoff, worth millions. University of Texas sued him, was like, hey, man, Farrah Fawcett said to give us that painting. Quit playing with us. Give us that painting. And in the end, they lost the lawsuit, and they kept it moving, right? Art has a lot of value. Don't get it twisted, okay? But what she did is she set up a $4.5 million. Like, after all her whole life, you would think Farrah Fawcett got a ton of money. Like, she was going overseas doing these alternative medicines. Like, I love these news people, these celebrities, but they keep doing alternative medicines with the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? Like, she went overseas. She had anal cancer. Just to hey, that's the best way I can explain it, right? And they were doing all these different, techniques in Europe and all this other stuff. And she came back, and it was gone for a little bit, and then it came back with a vengeance. It went to her liver, went everywhere. And the people in America was like, we could have just gave you this first treatment and would have saved your life. But people want to do the alternative stuff, and I get it, I understand. But ask Steve Jobs, okay? And there's levels to alternative. There's levels to it. And so then when Ryan O'Neal basically held her hostage, and she was like 86 pounds, and her boyfriend that she had loved since college, that she could go back and do it all over again, she could just stay with him. He couldn't see her. She left him $100,000. She left Ryan O'Neal nothing. That's how that man was dirty. That man was crooked, okay? And he was big in Hollywood. Everybody was scared of him. But she left a $4.5 million living trust for her son. Her son had been doing crime and drugs and doing all this crazy stuff. So he was locked up in prison. He's going to be locked up in California prison for a long time. But this living trust drops money to his prison cartons, or what do you call it, commissary, every month. On top of, he has a certain amount allotted for his health care, because by the time he get out of prison, he's going to be old, right? And the power of lawyers and insurance is important, but that's why I say a house and land is even more important, because eventually he told the trust, I need y'all to secure me a house in California or a piece of land in California, so by the time I do get out of jail, the land is worth so much because it's California, right? So anyway, it was a really interesting documentary, and I just was like, what? Same thing with Florida. This guy was going in about Florida and all these people in Florida not having insurance, and it was bothering him because what if a hurricane comes? What is it? Because the people in Florida, insurance companies are cool if 80-20%, right? 80% of people still got their insurance, 20% don't. When it gets 70-30, we're getting dicey. When we get 60-40, oh, they pissed now. Because insurance is a racket. You know, they want their money. They go lobby to the government all the times you need to have insurance. Well, you shouldn't have a car if you don't got insurance. If you don't have this type of insurance, you can't have a car, you can't have a house, you can't have all this stuff. Right? It's a racket. But what Florida people know is that they have the house and they have the land. So what a hurricane can come tear that bad boy down. It might even be cheaper to build from the ground up with some cinder blocks the way y'all charging us with this insurance. So it's a rabbit hole I can go down, but I'm gonna hold back. Let me show y'all this video. Keep it pushing. This is Oxford Advisors.
From Oxbow Advisors from Austin, Texas, Ted Oakley joins us today. We're thrilled that he could do it. Ted, there's any number of ways to go with you with your career and the esteemed ability you have. I'm going to go. Axios wrote this up. Axios Austin, I should say. Tony Payan at the Baker Institute, Rice University. The volume of this debate that goes through your Texas is basically unimaginable. The trite thing is like, okay, what are avocados going to do? But in Austin, how are you synthesizing the economic success of Texas and the threat to it from these policies?
Well, Tom, what happens is Texas is really split into three parts. Now, the valley is where that's where all the vegetables come through, and everybody does all the Rio Grande Valley, and it's different from West Texas, which is where all the oil is. So they're looking at everything differently. On the valley, they got a real problem because we grow so many things in Mexico and bring it across the border. In West Texas, you got oil, and they won't drill at less than $60 probably, and they're close right now. So those two things are getting affected. And then if you look at, for example, in Austin, Houston, Dallas, real estate market's slowing down, quite a bit, really. And we try to keep our pulse on the bottom 50% and find out what's happening.
Senator Cruz is out front in this debate.
Pause. What did he just say? What did he just say? I hope y'all didn't let that go over your head. Texas is divided up into three parts. It's really 5 parts, but let's for the sake of argument, 3 parts. That whole valley, man, they growing everything. They growing you name it. Avocados are grown here in Texas. As much as they like avocados. I'm like, we grow them here in Texas. There's a whole hundreds and hundreds of fields of avocados right here in Texas. What are you talking about? We're just going to go to the border and scoop them up. Now, the companies have offices on what? Both sides of the border. So they need you to advocate for them because, hey, if I have a 100-acre farm and half of it's across the border, 50 acres over here, 50 acres over here, like I need you to advocate for me because I don't want to be charged all these, tariffs, okay? And then they talk about the oil of West Texas. Now, of course, you guys are going to know Landman and all that stuff. He's going to make a joke here in a second. But you have to understand, these are billion-dollar industries. And what he's trying to say is there's so much money being printed in Texas. What's going on? How are y'all even absorbing it? Now, if you're in my land grab course, we show you thousands of land that was sold in the past 12 months in Texas. I show you how to pick it, how to get to it, how to find it yourself, how to write out the letters, how to advertise the builders. We show you. This is one of those states you don't have to have a license to build. You don't have to be a licensed GC. Do you know how many people I've ran into is like, man, I came here so fast from California, New York, Virginia, all these places. I immediately ran around, found a bunch of contractors and started building. But this is also opens up the ground for handyman services, repair services. Texas is going to be a racket for the next 30, 50 years. That's why them New Yorkers is trying to put that Wall Street over there. That's why the people in Houston are so heavy. That's why they're in Dallas so heavy. When I'm sitting here telling y'all, like, there's a reason I'm here in Austin, the tip of the spear. We have over 5,000 capital companies here. Used to be 3,000. Now it's 5,000. There are people here that all they do is move money. They're just moving money. They literally go, hey, we'll give you a loan. There's a company here. If you're a business owner, I'm not going to list their name. I'm going to say it for behind the scenes stuff. But if you're a business owner and your books are shitty, your credit's shitty, they still will give you a loan on a house. And this is why when people tell me, oh, Erica, Texas, ain't nobody want to be down there, Florida, just goofy stuff, because they have no producer skills. They have no ownership skills. They come here to Texas. They don't want to own a house. They don't want to change their career. They don't want to be flexible. I'm going back to Virginia or California. Nobody cares. What happens is people get here and think they're going to run around being special because they're like, I'm from Virginia. And everybody in the group be like, oh my God, Virginia. They don't care when you get here. I was telling people I was from North Carolina for 3 years, and I realized people were like, I don't care if you're from North Carolina. Now, if I said Nashville, they'd have been all in my face. But what was crazy, they were like, oh, I go to Asheville all the time. And I go to this part of North Carolina all the time. What you start to realize when you get to a certain level, we're just moving money, y'all. And if you pay attention to what he said, the bottom 50%, they pay attention to. But let me play some more of this. It's not going to be much more, and we're going to wrap it up and close out.
He's really been scathing as a Republican. Do you suspect that other Trump comfortable Southern Republicans will join Senator Cruz in criticism?
Wouldn't surprise me because you've all of a sudden you've upended everything, any world order of business. So and they look at a lot of their constituents who are all of a sudden going to get hurt. And, it all comes down to votes. I got to tell you, Tom.
Ted, let me jump in here before Tom starts asking you about Bob Thornton and Landman. I'm looking at some of your stock picks here, very defensive. Colgate, Palmolive, Kimberly-Clark. Makes sense to me. Are investors drinking that Kool-Aid right now?
Well, we've owned those for some time, Damien, but I would tell you, we have a number of growth companies on the watch list, but they're not where we want to buy them. We look at about 300 companies that we would own in certain circumstances. But if you look at what we want during these periods, we want cash flow. We want, that's why we own the pipelines, oil and gas pipelines as well, Evergy's, a utility, that sort of thing.
So talk to me about pipelines and MLPs. And I mean, like if you're just your average, investor, is there an ETF that's a dividend paying MLP sort of that gives you your exposure all in one? Or do you really have to get into the nitty gritty and pick your spots and pick your companies directly?
Well, you need to have enough money to buy the direct MLP because you're going to have to pay an accountant to do the K1. So, and some of them don't like to do it.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But if you look for us, we own our top three are enterprise products, MPLX and Energy Transfer. Now, we like Plains All America as well, but those are all the K1s. If somebody doesn't want to have K1s, and they can go to something like AMLP, they can go one of the ETFs, which is okay, but really, a pipeline's meant to own forever, like a piece of real estate.
A pipeline's meant to own forever, like a piece of real estate. What people don't realize is if we just expand the map of the United States and we can go and find little nowhere places where land is 5K, 10K, 15K. And if you go farther enough, you'll see right around the corner, and we talk about land grab 2025. There's all these places where we're literally creating wealth. We get the land. We just do some entitlements. Now it goes up 3x value. And we break it down in there because I want you guys to understand that when people say, well, Erica, you always talk about taxing and land. Well, are you doing it? We're actively doing it. I'm literally having a video person film me all next weekend so y'all can see some of the projects. But I want you to understand I'm so passionate about this because I realize all this other stuff is a distraction. Whenever we're talking about all this 50-50 this and 50-50 that, it's because y'all don't have a house. It's because you don't have any land. You don't have anything of value. So you're arguing about who's going to pay $52 extra on the rent. Who going to pay $52 for some more groceries? Stuff that does not matter over the next 40 years of your life. And when you get two people together who are nincompoops and they don't use their time together to build wealth, they're running around wanting to cheat and talk about sneaky links and do goofy stuff and do bare minimum at work. What is the point of them living? We call them wall builders when I worked at Lowe's. We call them wall builders. Like, they're not going to do anything spectacular at work. They're not going to move up. They're not going to be a manager. They're not going to be anybody that's really doing anything. But they're going to show up to work for the rest of the time you have them here because they're called wall builders. They're called wall builders. Okay? So that's my whole thing. I want y'all to understand, like, there's a whole, he literally talks about the bottom 50% of society. Look at the glasses. I already know y'all want to look at the glasses. Look at the glasses. Those are the glasses of I have money. If you ever worry, if you go northeast, these are called I have money glasses. I just want you to understand. I have long money glasses. Okay?
Hey, we got 8 ways to go here, Ted. I don't have the time. I'm too tired. I haven't slept. The Texas Rangers crushed the Red Sox the opening day. I'm miserable. You got a new book out.
Yes.
And it's actually way more important than this mumbo jumbo. We're talking.
His book he has coming out is how to navigate your, basically how to not have spoiled rotten kids when you have money. That's just the simple of it, right? But if you, I just want you to understand like what he's talking about going on in Texas right now. It's big time money, and and these old 70 plus people. I told y'all how many people over 70 own all this land, own all this gas, own all these pipelines, own all this vacant land. You're literally just mailing letters and calling people who are like, yeah, I don't even live there. I ain't been in Mississippi in forever. I ain't been in Tennessee in forever. I've been left when the railroads did this. I mean, Tina Turner was from Nutbush, Tennessee. There ain't even nobody left in that town. It's like 50 people. Y'all have to understand somebody still owns that land though. All right. Middle Tennessee is gonna be, you think Texas is gangbusters. Middle Tennessee is gonna be gangbusters another 20 years. And it's because people from California are like, oh my God, trees, land, hills, cows. Let me get out of here. Now you're gonna say, but Erica, California has the best weather ever. It's the best weather ever. Ugh, nobody cares. If you're getting beat up, you're getting ran over by cars for trying to stop people who stole a $10 mask. You're telling me about the weather in California? I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, who cares about that? Tortoiseshell glasses. I mean, I got long money. I seen an article about the San Antonio Mega. I mean, in the land grab, we break down that whole area south of here, north of here. That's when people ask me, was the inner circle going to be just about Texas? I'm like, no, we're heavy in 3 markets. We're heavy in 3 markets. We have a couple students who are in other markets, but we go to there and we walk through. I have a couple videos coming down the pipeline, but I just want y'all to know, like, the 20% of all white people are over 65 years old. The people that own this land and their children are like, I don't care about this land. Let it go. Sell it. I told y'all about, I have a family friend her grandfather's been dead 40 years. Her grandma's still living. Her grandma's 100 years old. They still finding stuff that he owns because it's in surplus. Their property taxes, they've been paid on it for 20 plus years. Somebody just forgot about it. His accountant done died. His CPA done died. All these people that were managing all this stuff are dead. And people are like, hey, we're just trying to see if you want to sell it. Sell what? Hey, your family owns this piece of land in the middle of nowhere. And that's very common. It's more common than y'all think. There was one piece of land we wanted to get. It had all these people on the title. Couldn't find out the man who owned it died. He got married to 3 different women. All his sons that were alive are dead. So really, you're just talking to the ex-wives. You're talking to the ex-wives and the wives of the dead children. You're not even talking to the grandchildren. And that's what's happening. These people have these cloudy titles out here because it's a bunch of people who nobody's paying the property taxes. As long as they don't have to pay anything, they don't care. It's just land sitting out there. And that's really where we're at in a lot of parts of America. I really want to do this interview with this Asian guy who bought 1,000 acres. I'm going to try my hardest to get him back on, see if he'll come on here. But I just want y'all to understand, man. I just want y'all to understand it's about to be gangbusters out here. So that's it. That's what I have for y'all. Hope it was helpful. Hope you understood the point of this. Let me see. I just want to show y'all how old Bill O'Reilly look right now. Let me show y'all this real quick. Then I'm gonna get on out of here. I'm sorry. I know y'all respect y'all Friday. I hope y'all have a good night, but I just want y'all to see how old Bill O'Reilly look right now.
Galloway. Here's what he said. Go.
I realize it's bad form to comment on a previous guest, but I just want to highlight, in terms of our ability to quote unquote wreck the Chinese economy, the largest trading partner of China is the Association of Southeast Asian Nations at about $1 trillion. Number 2 is actually the EU at 900 billion. We're third at 800 billion.
So what? The Southeast Asian nations, yeah, they trade with them, okay, but they trade at a much lower level, and they're not using Vietnamese currency to fund anything. And there's no investment by Chinese corporations to speak of in Southeast Asia. There is in the EU and Japan, but not to the level of the United States. Now, Galloway's never going to tell you that, ever, because his thesis is that Trump bad, China not so bad, Trump bad. We get this? Okay. Now, I want you to know the truth. We have leverage over China. I believe a deal will get done between Xi and Trump. Not going to be easy, obviously, but they're going to meet face to face. I hope it's in June. I'm hearing in the Gulf. And then let's iron all of this out. We don't need a worldwide economic war. No one needs that. Everyone will get hurt. United States getting hurt now. Folks are getting hurt now. China, you'll never hear about them getting hurt. It'll be like COVID. So the Chinese government said, yeah, we had a couple of hundred cases of COVID, but that's all. Meanwhile, about 100,000 people died. But you'll never get that. They'll never say it. So this is very intense right now. Very, very intense. I'm rooting for my country. I'm not rooting for Donald Trump or the Republican Party. I'm rooting for my country. The trade deals are not fair. Every honest person knows that. They're not. Let's hope they get better for the USA and that we can de-intensify all of this. That's a memo.
All right, that's what I have for y'all. I just did not know Bill had looked that old. He's looking like, I just want to understand that we have a changing of the guard happening, okay? But my goal with all this is, yes, I'm going to be promoting and talking about, I'm going to be talking about Inner Circle. I'm going to be talking about Texas Conclave. I'm going to be talking about land grab course. I'm going to talk about it because the truth is the economics is what sets you free. The ability, when I post stuff to my woman of leisure, I know that pisses people off, but I'm like, I'm able to make choices and chill and take naps in the day, not because I'm running up credit cards, but because I've built a life that can do that. And that's what you have to understand. You have to start talking to these people. You have people trying to make you understand them sleeping in a car. You have people trying to get you to understand why they're sleeping in cars, why they're sleeping on the ground in the middle of nowhere in vacant areas. They're trying to get you to oh yeah, this is such a great ideal. And you're like, or you could just figure out the money part and live in a house or, build a house in the woods or whatever you want to do. But they're trying to make sense of poverty, right? They're trying to, I'm just gonna go there. They're trying to make sense of poverty, right? Thank you, Orlando. There you go. Orlando Fuller. Erica said people were complaining about prices going up about a year ago. I told people to buy a house. I closed less than 30 days ago. Gonna take the equity and buy a 1-level duplex. There you go. I'm just telling you, the thought that they're gonna crash. These houses are gonna crash. Y'all, they are actively shopping houses and investment communities and neighborhoods to other people because they know ultimately, these people coming out of New York, they may go back and forth to New York in the summer. They may go to California in the summer because it's too hot in Texas, but they need a low cost housing. These second tier cities, we're going to make sure we say it clearly. These second tier cities that people are living in is because the average person, when they're like, I want to do slow living for my family, what they're really telling you is we don't do a lot of stuff. We travel maybe once or twice a year for some big vacations. So they don't mind living in a Chattanooga, in a Myrtle Beach, in a Raleigh, in a Ocala, Florida. They don't mind living in San Antonio because it's cheap, right? Because they really just care about what's at their house, what's in their backyard. Is the kids going to a nice school? And then they're going to do their big summer travel. If you ever move to Texas and you talk to a lot of people don't plan stuff in July here in August in Texas, right? I'm talking about events. I'm talking about festivals. They don't do none of that in July and August because majority of people are traveling, right? I have a friend that has a lawn care company. He makes a lot of money in July and August cutting grass because nobody's home. And so him cutting grass and moving stuff around makes it look like somebody's home. So anyway, all right, guys, this is your girl, Erica. Hope it was helpful. Hope you guys, they just living in the house. Stop it. You already know. These people ain't doing nothing. They're doing a grill out, cookout in their backyard, and that's basically it. But yeah, go ahead and check out Land Grab Course. Check out Land. Check out All Roads Lead to Real Estate book. You guys have a great day, and we'll make sure to have some good content coming up.
This is Brandy Williams of Williams Accounting and Tax Services, located in McDonough, Georgia, WilliamsActTax.com, giving a testimony to Erica Williams. Just want to thank you for all your encouragement and support. I am out here at a photo shoot for my second flip that we just finished, my first JV, which went very well. Got a book coming, Flipping with Friends in 45 days. Again, I will rave again and again about that boat party and winery that just changed my life. I met so many people, and I won't name all the names, but you know who you are. Again, I thank you for your support, and there's more to come. 2025 is just getting started. Y'all check out Erica Williams. Get the game, execute, and keep your documentation. Thank you, y'all. Bye.